The last car pulled away. Anna stood on the porch, the echo of retreating footsteps heavy in the air. It was finally quiet. The silence after the funeral was deafening. She felt utterly alone. The past few days had been a blur. Faces, condolences, and casseroles all swam together in her memory. She wandered from room to room, touching his things, seeking his presence in the quiet spaces. She paused at the kitchen window, her gaze drawn to the backyard. The garden they had tended together was starting to wither. His chair sat empty at the kitchen table. She could almost see him sitting there reading the newspaper. Now there was only the faint scent of his pipe tobacco clinging to the curtains. Anna knew she couldn't stay here, frozen in this moment of grief. She had to face the daunting task of packing away his life, of dismantling their shared history. The barn loomed at the edge of the property, its weathered wood a stark contrast to the neatly manicured lawn. It was a constant reminder of her husband's guarded past, a place shrouded in mystery. He had always kept it locked, the key on a worn leather string he wore around his neck. But now, the barn felt like a silent accusation, a physical manifestation of the secrets they had kept from each other. She found the key on his nightstand, nestled among his favorite books. The weight of it was both comforting and unsettling. The path to the barn was overgrown with weeds, neglected for years. Each step towards it felt like stepping further into the unknown. As she approached the weathered door, she noticed a shadow move within. Her breath caught in her throat. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open, the rusty hinges groaning in protest. Dust motes danced in the silence as Anna stood in the doorway, her eyes struggling to adjust to the dimness. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the wooden walls, illuminating the stillness. The air was thick with the scent of hay and thyme. She took a tentative step forward, her footfall echoing in the silence. Cobwebs clung to her hair like ghostly fingers reaching out from the shadows. She brushed them away, a shiver running down her spine. The barn was a labyrinth of forgotten treasures and discarded dreams. Rusty farm equipment stood guard like silent sentinels. Bales of hay were stacked haphazardly against the walls. She ran her hand along the rough-hewn beams, feeling the weight of years etched into their surface. In the far corner she spotted a wooden chest, its lid slightly ajar. Curiosity compelled her forward. She knelt before the chest, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings. With bated breath she lifted the lid. Inside, nestled among layers of yellowed silk, lay a stack of letters, bound together with a faded ribbon. Her heart skipped a beat. The handwriting was elegant and unfamiliar, the ink faded but still legible. The name, written in a flowing script, sent a chill down her spine. Anna sank onto a dusty bale of hay, the letters scattered around her like fallen leaves. Each one was a window into a past she had never known. The words swam before her eyes, painting a picture of a passionate romance. As she read, she felt a strange kinship with this unknown woman. The barn, once a symbol of her husband's secrecy, now felt like a sanctuary. The last letter in the stack was different. It spoke of a final meeting, a bittersweet farewell. The writer begged her beloved to forget her, to move on with his life. Anna reread the letter, her heart aching for this unknown woman and for her husband. She realized now that the secrets we keep are often not signs of deceit, but shields to protect the fragile, vulnerable parts of ourselves. She had come to the barn seeking answers, but she left with a deeper understanding of the complexities of the human heart. Moving deeper into the barn, Anna discovered a sturdy table. A single kerosene lamp sat on its surface, its glass polished to a shine. The light revealed stacks of notebooks, their covers a faded leather. Curiosity warred with her growing unease. Anna reached for the top notebook, its leather cool and slightly damp beneath her fingers. The first page was filled with his familiar, slightly cramped handwriting. The notebook detailed her husband's life, his thoughts and dreams, in a way she had never imagined. He wrote about his childhood on the farm, his love for the land, his dreams of traveling the world. Each page she turned was a revelation, chipping away at the image she'd held of the man she thought she knew. He wrote about his struggles too, his fears, his doubts. Reading his words, Anna felt a wave of sadness wash over her. He had carried these burdens alone, building walls around his heart. Tucked within the pages of one notebook, Anna found a small, silver-framed photograph. It depicted a young woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. Turning the photograph over, Anna's breath caught in her throat. Etched on the back, in a flowing script, was a name, Eleanor. Who was this woman, her image cherished and hidden away in her husband's private sanctuary? The discovery of the photograph, coupled with the name Eleanor echoing in her mind, cast a new light on the notebooks. Night was falling, the lamplight casting long, flickering shadows across the barn. Anna continued to read, each notebook revealing another piece of the puzzle that was her husband's life. He wrote about his struggles to save enough money to buy a piece of land. In one entry, he mentioned a promise he'd made, a vow to provide a good life. The words were filled with such love, such longing, that Anna felt tears prick her eyes. The more Anna learned, the more she realized how little she knew about the man she had shared her life with. As she closed the last notebook, a profound sense of sadness washed over Anna. The barn, once a place of mystery, now felt imbued with a tangible sorrow. It was a repository of her husband's unspoken desires, his hopes and dreams, carefully preserved yet tragically unrealized. He had lived a life shaped by longing, his heart a vessel filled with both love and regret. The weight of his unspoken words settled upon her, heavy and suffocating. How many years had he carried these burdens alone, hiding his true self behind a facade of stoicism? Had she been blind, or had she simply chosen not to see the depths hidden beneath the surface? Anna knew she couldn't undo the past, couldn't rewrite their shared history. But she could honor his memory by seeking the truth, by understanding the man she had loved so deeply, even the parts he had kept hidden. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the cracks in the barn walls, Anna made a silent vow. She would unravel the threads of his past, piece together the fragments of his hidden life, and finally come to know the man who had been both husband and stranger. The rising sun cast long, thin fingers of light through the cracks in the barn walls. Anna had barely slept, her heart a tangled knot of confusion and burgeoning grief. She reached for a small wooden box she had uncovered at the bottom of the chest. Untying the faded ribbon, its silk frayed with time, Anna lifted the lid. Inside lay a collection of small, intricately crafted wooden toys. A wave of sadness washed over Anna. Beneath the toys, carefully folded, lay a small garment. Anna lifted it gently, her fingers brushing against the soft, worn fabric. It was a child's dress, sewn from fine linen, the bodice adorned with delicate lace and tiny pearl buttons. The scent of lavender, faint but unmistakable, rose from the fabric, evoking memories of a time long past. Anna held the dress against her cheek, the fabric cool and smooth against her skin. It was small, no bigger than her hand, made for a child no older than 2. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. This dress, this whisper of a lost childhood, could not have belonged to any child of theirs. A cold fear coiled in her stomach. Who was this child, this ghost from her husband's past? The unanswered questions that had haunted her throughout the night returned with a vengeance, swirling around her like a flock of startled birds. The barn, once a place of solace, now felt oppressive, the air thick with unspoken truths and the weight of her husband's secrets. Section 3, A Bridge Across Time. Anna carefully placed the dress back in the box, her mind racing. She needed answers, needed to understand the story these objects told. Her gaze fell upon a dusty, leather-bound photo album. With trembling hands she opened the album. The first page was filled with sepia-toned photographs. She recognized her husband, younger, with a carefree smile. Beside him stood a woman, Eleanor, photographs of a child, a little girl with her father's eyes. Anna's heart ached with sadness and longing. Section 4, The Language of Lost Love. The album became a portal, transporting Anna back in time, allowing her to witness the unfolding of a love story she had never known existed. She saw them picnicking in a meadow, sunlight dappling through the trees, their laughter echoing in the summer breeze. She saw them pushing a giggling toddler on a swing set, their faces etched with a joy so profound it transcended the barriers of time. There were photographs of Christmas mornings, a fire crackling in the hearth, presents piled high beneath a glittering tree. The little girl, her face aglow with excitement, held a doll that looked remarkably like the one Anna had treasured as a child. The photos weren't just images, they were echoes of moments filled with a love so pure, so absolute, that it brought tears to Anna's eyes. As she turned the pages, the photos became less frequent, the smiles less carefree. In the later images, a shadow seemed to have fallen over their lives. Eleanor looked thinner, her face etched with a weariness that spoke of burdens carried and battles fought. Yet even in the face of adversity, their love for each other remained, a beacon of light in the gathering darkness. Section 5, Shadows of Doubt, Glimmers of Truth. The last few photos in the album were different. They depicted her husband standing alone, his shoulders slumped, his eyes filled with a profound sadness. He was holding the little girl, her head tucked beneath his chin. They were at a train station, steam billowing from the engine. The final photo was just of him, standing on the platform, the train pulling away. Anna closed the album, her heart heavy with a grief that wasn't hers alone. These photographs painted a vivid picture of a love story cut short. She finally understood the depth of her husband's hidden pain. He had loved and lost, and carried the weight of that loss with him. The questions remained swirling in her mind like dust motes caught in the sunlight. Who was Eleanor? What had happened to her and the little girl? And why had her husband never spoken of them? As Anna sat there, the weight of his secrets pressing down on her, she realized that sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go. The diary entries were filled with details of his life with Eleanor and their daughter Lily. He wrote about their dreams, their struggles, and the overwhelming love that bound them together. Anna learned that Eleanor had been a talented artist, her paintings filled with vibrant colors and a zest for life that mirrored her own. Lily, he wrote, had inherited her mother's creativity and her father's quiet strength. He wrote about their simple life, the joy he found in everyday moments, sharing a cup of coffee with Eleanor as the sun rose, teaching Lily how to ride a bike, listening to her infectious laughter as she chased butterflies in the meadow. The words he used were filled with a tenderness and depth of feeling that Anna had never witnessed in their own marriage. As she read, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that she was intruding on something sacred, a love story that was never meant for her eyes. Yet she couldn't bring herself to stop reading. Each page she turned was like lifting a veil, revealing the heart of the man she thought she knew, the man she had loved for so many years, but had only ever glimpsed through the filter of his carefully constructed walls. He wrote about Eleanor's illness, a cruel twist of fate that had cast a shadow over their lives. He described her strength and grace in the face of adversity, her determination to create happy memories for their daughter even as her own light began to dim. The entries became shorter, the handwriting more frantic, as he documented the agonizing progression of her illness. Anna read about the day Eleanor died, the words blurred with tears, the raw pain leaping from the pages. He wrote about his promise to keep her memory alive, to raise Lily with the same love and devotion they had shared as a family. He wrote about his grief, his despair, the feeling that a part of him had died alongside the woman he loved. The diary entries ended abruptly a few months after Eleanor's death. He wrote about his decision to leave their home, to start a new life, to try to outrun the ghosts of his past. He wrote about his fear of failing Lily, his desperation to honor Eleanor's memory while trying to navigate the uncharted waters of grief and single parenthood. And then, silence. Years of silence. Years that had led him to Anna, and to the life they had built together. Sitting in the stillness of the barn, the diary clasped in her hands, Anna felt a profound sense of loss wash over her. She grieved for the life her husband had lived before they met, for the love he had shared with Eleanor, for the daughter he had lost. But as the initial shock subsided, a new emotion began to surface. Understanding. She realized that his silence hadn't been a betrayal but a form of self-preservation. He had loved deeply, had lost irrevocably, and had carried the weight of that grief with him, a silent burden that had shaped his every interaction, every relationship, every choice. He hadn't shared his past, not because he hadn't loved her, but because he had loved too much. He had been afraid of tarnishing the memory of his first love, of burdening Anna with the weight of his grief. Anna finally understood the man she had loved, the man who had been both husband and stranger. She saw his quiet strength, his unwavering loyalty, his capacity for love, not as flaws, but as testaments to the depth of his character. He had loved twice in his life, and both times, he had loved completely, without reservation. And in that realization, Anna found a strange sense of peace. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and purple. Anna stepped outside the barn, the diary clutched to her chest. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the scent of pine needles and damp earth. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, and for the first time since her husband's passing, she felt a sense of release. He was gone, but the love they had shared, the life they had built together, remained. It might not have been the passionate, all-consuming love he had shared with Eleanor, but it had been their love, a quiet tapestry woven from shared dreams, quiet companionship, and unspoken understanding, and that, she realized, was enough. Anna knew what she had to do. She would honor her husband's memory by embracing his past, by ensuring that Eleanor and Lily's stories were not forgotten. She would find a way to weave their lives into the fabric of her own, to keep their memory alive in her heart. She would live her life with the same quiet strength and grace that her husband had shown, embracing the complexities of life and love, and finding beauty in the unexpected detours along the way. And in doing so, she would finally set them all free. Anna stood at her husband's grave, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves in the old oak tree nearby. The inscription on the headstone, simple and stark, seemed to mock the complexity of the life he had lived. She placed a single white rose, its petals still damp with dew, on the cool granite. The scent of lavender, carried on the wind, whispered of a love story she had come to know only after his passing. She realized now that their love story had been just one chapter in the complex tapestry of his life. He had loved before, deeply and completely, and that love had left an indelible mark on his soul. His silence was a testament to the depth of the love he had carried for another. Anna closed her eyes, the scent of lavender a bittersweet reminder of the past. She had come to his grave seeking closure, but she realized that some stories don't end with neat resolutions. She left with a lighter heart, understanding the complexities of the human heart and the enduring power of love. And as she walked away, she made a silent promise to keep their memories alive and face the future with an open heart.